Alright, new area. Let's hope we can see some new enemies or some good level design. Maybe we will get introduced to some new interesting mechanics, but I would not hold my breath. Okay, we have options. We can go down the stairs or we can go through the rooftops, and obviously we are going to choose the high ground to have visual advantage and to be able to do some plunge attacks. And of course, the game is prepared to make it difficult with its bullshit. We get a couple of sneak attacks for some free kills, no health wasted. Some pretentious morons would say, oh, you can have lots of different approaches to the enemies. That means the combat is good and flexible with many options. It allows you to do stealth. Motherfucker, this is not real stealth. There are no real stealth mechanics. You are not Solid Snake. You are not any kind of snake. You are actually lesser than a worm for trying to be pretentious about a game's crappy gameplay. I'm trying to draw them closer to this house so I can do a plunge attack, but of course they are not going to come. Why would the game allow me to use the environment in a smart way to kill them easily? It has to force me to play the parry simulator. This stupid game throws me an entire army of obnoxious enemies and expects me to slowly and steadily kill them one by one, as if that's interesting in any way. Alright, let's see if I can do a plunge attack on this mini boss right here, jumping the gap successfully. And there is a douchebag. Oh, well, this is annoying. He literally threw his shit on me with perfect timing while I was going to do the plunge attack. And since the camera is so shitty, it didn't allow me to see when he was doing the attack. Imagine thinking this kind of camera is acceptable for such a high budget game. Okay, I'm going to isolate the weakling from the mini-boss. Well, I can't move and they won't stop attacking me. Well, there you go. They suddenly started aggressively beating the shit out of me while I got stuck in the corner. Those were consecutive attacks. How even is this outcome acceptable in such a high budget game? What happened to the game being methodical and shit, where you are supposed to pick the enemies one by one and kill them slowly and steadily? That was straight up bullshit. He literally attacked me. After my huge charge attack, there was nothing I could do because the animation of my attack was still going. His attack pushed me right in the corner and then they started comboing me to death. In a game with such shallow shitty mechanics, these kinds of shitty outcomes are expected, so why not make it more mechanically rich? Why make it punishing even? What's with losing the souls? What's with losing so much time? Such a huge loading screen. How is all of that acceptable? We all know it's not, because the point of these games are not to make the combat good. The point is to make the player cry so they can feel happy after beating these enemies and feel like they are getting back at their abusers. It's literally just shitty conditioning for miserable desperate people. No jumping out of the way, no ability to push them out of the way, nothing. Unless the player has played this game many times to the point that he has fully memorized every single enemy's attack to the point that it's second nature to them and they can even parry multiple enemies while being constantly attacked. Otherwise, it's just certain death. And the dipshits who played this game for the 20th time somehow think they got good. Just because they memorized every single animation from every single angle, they think they are somehow skilled and they got good. You didn't get good at anything. You got my balls in your mouth, you illiterate dipshits. Here comes the flaming tart boss fight. This stupid boss has attacks where its hammer hand goes above the screen and hits you with delayed timing and also has tons of range. And of course it doesn't matter for shit because it's not a game that tests your reaction time skill, you are just meant to memorize the timings of the animations. Why would they care to bother with better visuals and a better camera? The end goal is the same. It also has a ranged weapon and it can shoot you with it while it's taking steps back. It's like he's playing a cheesy mage build, except he has super tanky health and no mana cost or stamina cost. What's stopping this stupid shitty boss from spamming this bullshit? The answer is nothing. Sometimes you will be unlucky and get fucked by its bullshit ranged attacks without many chances to get closer. He just killed me with a leg attack that I have never seen before, and by the animation movements you would think it was charging some kind of hammer attack with its hand. What a stupid game. The biggest bullshit attack of his is the ground flame attack that, even when you see it coming, you just can't get away far enough to avoid it, because the area of effect is enormous. And sometimes he does it with its back turned on you, and you can't really tell until it's too late. It also does insane damage, and since it's an unblockable attack, why doesn't he turn red when he does it? Like, you have games like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, where all the enemies, even the smaller ones, have an entire warning and a name when they are going to use their strong unblockable attacks, and those are skill based games as well, but for some reason they could not just give you enough information in Lies of P. They expect you to brute force it through trial and error memorization like you have been trained to do in the entire Souls-like genre. They know they don't need to give a shit because the players don't have any expectations. They want to be punished for no reason because that's what's conditioning them, not the difficulty. Look at this shit, his fire still got me. This boss fight really makes you feel like you are inside a gas chamber. So after beating that stupid boss fight, we got rewarded with new mechanics and Legion arms. The new Legion arm requires you to stay still and wait until an electric hand is charging up energy to do a tiny melee burst. So do they really expect the enemies are going to just wait there while you are charging up instead of destroying the shit out of you? That's an incredibly stupid Legion arm. And then we have the new mechanic, the grindstone, that adds fire elemental damage to your weapon. Sadly it doesn't last long, so you would expect it to be useful against mini bosses and bosses. Too bad, most of them are immune to the fire status effect, making it another pointless piece of garbage mechanic. I would like to say for the 100th time that they don't try and they don't give a shit about the gameplay, but I'm pretty sure everyone who hasn't been playing these games with their eyes closed is fully aware of that by now. We have an area with obnoxious enemies with ranged attacks. And I just died because you can barely control your character when you are attacking. Nice. I have to go all the way back there because I just lost 8,000 souls. Oh, and there is an extra mechanic in this specific Souls-like that every time you get hit by enemies, some of the souls that are waiting to be recovered are getting lost. So you need to play like a bitch and try to avoid as many enemies. Instead of incentivizing the player to engage with the combat, regardless of how bad it is, they do everything in their power to discourage you from fighting enemies. You have games like Ratchet and Clank that have zero loading time every time you die, and you actually keep all the money and experience after your death. So every time you get to try your chances, you are slightly stronger and you are slightly richer, and you can use those riches to further customize yourself and become even stronger. If they did that in Souls-likes, the repetition would be slightly more bearable because at least it could be considered somewhat of a grinding. But no, you are forced to play the exact way they want you to play. You are forced to memorize tons of enemy attack animations and always brute force your way through trial and error, with the only exceptions being cheese that they probably didn't even put intentionally, because as they have clearly mentioned, the very point of these games is the so-called difficulty through trial and error. Putting massive cheese would completely take that away, but as long as you are willing to suck Miyazaki's dick, you are going to overlook everything. And yes, I'm going to blame Miyazaki for this game because fuck logic. That's how the world works. We blame Nomura for every JRPG, we blame Todd Howard for every Western RPG, we blame Kojima for everything bad Konami does, and we blame Susan Wojcicki for everything bad YouTube does. Those are the rules and you better play along. Whoever thought of the weapon durability system in an already insanely tedious game and made it not only lower your weapon's damage, but also making it impossible to stagger the enemies as well, deserves a special place in hell. Also, they fill these small areas with so much pointless shit like those carts that stand in your way, with this shitty camera as well. Like holy shit, it's unbelievable how much garbage there is. And now I have lost 9,600 souls that I need to recover. Still have to go back all that way down, still playing like a bitch to make sure I won't take damage and lose some of the souls. Clearly a very fun game. I'm sure they had tons of fun when they were playing this game themselves, right? And I just took damage out of nowhere from a place I can't even see, and my attack didn't reach, and my recovery animations won't allow me to parry, and the damage I took before plus the one I took now is enough to kill me. Skill, guys, skill, it's all skill. There isn't a single percentage of bullshit going on here. It's all fully pure skill, nothing else. I had to magically memorize all the enemy attacks with full precision timing, and I had to magically know know that there was some kind of bullshit enemy hiding somewhere and he was going to throw shit at me. It just happens that my magic skills of predicting the future are not high enough. Clearly all the Souls fans never died in these parts because their skills are way too high. They have been playing this stupid genre for a decade non-stop. There is no way they will still be dying at these parts in any Souls-like game, right? They are just too good at taking a wild guess what shit needs to be thrown. They have mastered that skill. They have become gods at shit flinging. And now we have Resident Evil enemies with the shitty level design of Sen's Fortress, making the player walk on beams while constantly harassed by both melee and ranged enemies, because clearly the game wasn't annoying enough. Making you walk here could be good level design for a game that actually does have mechanics that allow you to balance and platform properly, but this is literally just annoying on purpose. This is how to make fake difficulty 101. Make the controls shitty on purpose and create areas that force the player use those shitty controls constantly. And the dipshits in the comment sections will be like, oh, I bet he is coping because he is bad at the game. He is so mad. Oh, I never needed to cope because I have everything I need in my life. I have the basic ability of memorizing and I have Dark Souls. It doesn't matter how much my mother is shouting at me. It doesn't matter how much my dad is beating the shit out of me. And it doesn't matter how much my uncle is fucking my ass. Dark Souls will always make me feel good. That's all I will ever need in my mother's basement. My life is perfect. I am a real human being. Hey look, it's a boss fight, the best part of Souls-likes, and it's apparently a multi-boss fight or something. Well, as long as they don't attack me all at the same time, it should be fine.
Bring it on. You ain't seen nothing like my brother.
The fuck do you mean I haven't seen nothing like your brother? Like, what is he going to do? This is a Souls-like, you dumb fuck. He's just going to have some stupid slow telegraphed attacks that you need to memorize and time with a parry button. What, is he going to play a different game? Is he going to play Devil May Cry and start dashing and jumping around and doing stylish combos? The fuck is this little shit doing? He joined the fight, so it is a multi-boss fight. The way they are coordinating their attacks is bullshit, and of course my Legion powers are all useless. Every single mechanic introduced in this fucking game is completely worthless. Dude, are you fucking kidding me with this little shit? Look at how fast he's running around. He can do combos, launch me up in the air, and the moment I start hitting him, he's dashing far away. And he even has an attack to immediately rush at me from a very long range while also doing damage. It's like the Stinger attack from the Devil May Cry games. This little shit right here is actually playing Devil May Cry in a Souls game. Why can I not have these kinds of fast dashing moves that will allow me to get in and out of combat, why can I not have decent moves similar to good action games? I would easily slaughter this entire brotherhood along with the rest of their families, and the developers know that, and they know they can't balance a proper action game for shit, so they make you play the dumbest parry simulator with so many pointless shitty RPG mechanics while giving tons of useful options to all your enemies. Look at how garbage this game is, dude. You get no actual chance to attack. One guy with fast combos and the other guy just destroys your health even when you are blocking. And they are both attacking you at the same time, and they both can rush at you at any point, straight up charge and attack, making it almost impossible to isolate them consistently. This fight is absolute trash, literally a 0 out of 10 fight, because there is zero consistency when it comes to avoiding damage. When you are blocking or even parrying, the enemy must be in front of you, and since they are so fast, they can easily get behind you to sneak up attacks on you. And of course the rest of the brothers are going to keep joining in at the faces, so you need to essentially memorize the moves of 4 different enemies, which will take a lot of time, but again the biggest problem is the fact that there is literally nothing you can do when one of them is attacking you from behind. You literally need to keep trying until you get lucky with their attacks, behavior and positioning. This is one of the most pointless and shitty boss fights in a Souls-like. Anyone with gameplay standards or self-respect or sanity would drop this game right here, right now. This is beyond unacceptable. This is just glorified gambling. Brute forcing through memorization, trial and error is one thing, but brute forcing through luck is a whole new level of garbage. You've got to be an actual subhuman to defend this kind of garbage. Not understanding the difference between knowing pieces of data and skill is one thing, but not being able to tell difference between luck and skill is a whole new level of subhumanity. Look at this stupid shit. I literally just killed the little bitch and the game still allows me to keep attacking him instead of just removing the health bar and the lock on to let me know that he is done and let me focus on the big guy. How the fuck can this kind of garbage build your self-efficacy? It should be the opposite of that. Your self-efficacy should be decreasing playing this trash. You should be questioning what the hell you are doing with your life. But of course that would imply that you had a life at any point for it to be questioned. You motherfuckers just can't find purpose in your lives, but I am smart enough and I will tell you exactly what the purpose of your lives is. I will tell you exactly how and why you were born and why you are still here. So first of all, your parents are stupid animals. That's not me insulting your parents, that's me making a factual statement. And it makes perfect sense. If you are that stupid, then your parents were obviously stupid as well. They have your genes. Idiots will produce idiots. That's how it works. And obviously if they weren't stupid, they would not allow you to stay in their basement for so long and behave the way you do. So, as the stupid animals they are, at some point in their lives they got horny and they wanted to have sex. You know, one of the most basic biological functions of all life forms. But since they are stupid, they can't figure out how to flirt properly, how to fit in society properly, how to socialize, how to progress. So they had to ask their parents or relatives to resolve that problem, and the solution was of course some kind of an arranged marriage, because getting married is the socially acceptable thing to do, to have properly sex without being called a stupid disgusting animal by the rest, even when you clearly are. So they got married, had sex, and you were made. You being born was always an expected result, but never a wanted one, because they simply wanted to have sex without being called stupid animals. And since they weren't smart to figure that one out, why the hell would anyone be expecting them to be smart enough to figure out how to grow a child properly? So they just let you stay in their basement. And when you die, they are going to be sad, not because you died. They don't give a fuck about that. If anything, they wish you died sooner. They will only be sad because they have to clear all the mess you have left behind. And they also have to pay for a coffin, and they also have to fake cry during your funeral along with the rest of the relatives. Because once again, that's the socially acceptable thing to do, not because they are sad. And that pretty much sums up your worthless lives, because there is really nothing else there happening. Like, you losers are literally lesser than the slave class, because at least the slave class actually works. You are the vegetable class. The only way for your lives to have any value is if you become the sex toy of some rich douchebag at a very young age, or if you have your organs harvested before you ruin them with your shitty unhealthy lifestyle. If none of that happens, then you will just rot in your basements like the vegetables you are. Actually, you are even lesser than vegetables, because at least vegetables do get some sunlight. You losers are so low in the food chain, you will be eaten by the mold in your walls.
Gotta admit, knows what he's doing.
Like, look at this shit. There is literally nothing interesting happening on the screen at any point. If you remove my commentary from the video, it can easily put you to sleep. Meanwhile, there is epic music playing on the background to give you the illusion, and all these stupid attack animations are more than enough to trick all the brain-dead morons into thinking they are doing something cool and special. They are playing this game being like, oh, look at that attack, holy shit, and then I parried that, and then he does the jump attack, and then I have to parry that too, and then he does the super attack, and then the charge attack, and then I avoid, and then I parry, and then I have to go there, and then a bit of a poke from me, and then comes the other guy, and holy shit, there is so much stuff happening, dude. Like, if you are that brain dead, and you need to keep hyping up yourself all the time, just so you can pretend the combat is engaging and interesting, then no wonder you are going to become a pathological liar, when lying is all you know to do. Literally, lie or die, which is the death screen, perfectly sums up the soul stars, because that's exactly how their life is. The second they stop lying and become self-aware, they will have to kill themselves, because they will immediately realize how worthless in life they are. Hey, look, I finally beat the boss. That means I got good by your own idiotic definition, right? Telling me to get good or skill issue in the comment section of this very video is the fastest and cleanest way to out yourself as a subhuman. Doing a live lobotomy is a close second. And since I had terrible time with that boss, I now get to feel good, right? Now I need to be like, oh, look, mom. Come, look, you always said that you regret giving birth to me and that I would accomplish nothing in my worthless life, but I proved you wrong. I beat a hard game, boss. That means I have so much value in life now. I have failed at every point in my life, doing anything, even in kindergarten, and everyone called me stupid, but I was actually the smart one, because I can beat a hard game. Now that I know I'm one of the smartest ones, I'm going to look down on others, just like they were looking down on me all this time. That will show them. I'm not going to use my superior intelligence to do anything worthwhile about my life. No. I will spend the entirety of my life looking down on others, specifically on the internet, cause that's the only joy in life. Everything else doesn't really matter. I'm going to find as many people who play this game as possible and tell them to get good. I bet they are going to feel so bad about themselves, just like I was feeling my entire life before I beat this game. Is that it? Am I doing it right? Am I officially a certified Soulstard now? You tell me. You should know better. Here's a perfect example of how it feels being a Soulstard. Imagine being in a basement with pretty much nothing to do, just staring at walls and having a bit of an internet connection every now and then to see what others might be doing on the internet, and at some point a guy tells you to have a gay relationship with him and you accept, not because you are gay, but because the alternative is just rotting away to nothingness in your basement. And that other guy isn't gay either, he is just too horny to care about what hole he puts his penis in. So the deal he makes with you is he gets to fuck you in the ass for an entire month, and at the very last day of the month you are the one who gets to fuck him in the ass. You accept the conditions because what else is there to do in life? The fucking begins and you hate it because you are not into it, you haven't even trained your anus, and after an entire month of suffering and crying and raging, the final day of the month comes and it's your time to do the fucking. So you go ahead, you do it, and it feels like it's the greatest thing ever, not just because you are an extremely frustrated turbo virgin, but because you also feel like you are getting back to your abuser. And that feeling is so good and so overwhelming that you need to go out and suggest everyone does the same so they can feel as good as you did. You think this is some kind of incredible discovery of a feeling so great that everyone needs to experience and everyone will be as addicted as you are. But you see people refusing to do that and you think they are missing out a lot of fun, and you start looking down on them thinking you have it so much better. So you continue to have the exact same relationship with your gay boyfriend with the exact same conditions until a couple of years pass and you have learned how to push all of his buttons every way that makes him horny, every way that makes him come the most. You have learned how to handle a penis with your hands and your mouth really well. You have trained your anus really well, and you still keep preaching about how it's the greatest feeling ever and everyone else should try it. And when people are asking you if you are gay, you are like, no dude, I'm just honing my skills of cock sucking and taking it in the ass. I am totally not gay. You know, at some point you need to really come out of the closet and admit that you are just a fag